Welcome to Quarantine Cooking in the Kitchen with Donna. And today I'm going to make one of my family's favorite springtime pie, which is strawberry pie. When I make this pie, I always have to make 2 of them because it's eaten up too fast. I'm going to give you the ingredients for double amount, but we will put the recipe on there for just a single recipe. So I'm going to start out making the strawberry glaze because the strawberry glaze has to cool. And after I make the strawberry glaze, I will make the pie crust. They also have to cool. While they're cooling, I'll wash and slice up the strawberries. So to make the strawberry glaze, we have 1.5 cups of sugar, 4 tablespoons of cornstarch, 4 tablespoons of light corn syrup, sometimes I put in a little bit more because it doesn't all come out of the spoon. And then 2 cups of water. And I stir this together to mix it totally up, get it good and mixed. And we're going to put it on the stove, and I am going to cook it, stirring constantly until it comes to a boil. And I will continue to stir it constantly until it becomes clear and thickened. You can tell what it looks like now. It's the pretty white color. And I'm cooking it on high. I'll turn it down when it starts boiling to medium high. And I am going to boil this until it is clear and thickened. You can tell it's not that white color that it was when we first put it on the stove to begin boiling. And you can see that it's getting clear and it's getting a lot thicker than it was. And so what I'm going to do, if you remember, I'm doubling the recipe. When I double the recipe, I use a full box of strawberry jello to make 2 pies. So I'll add the strawberry jello to the mixture. And I'll stir this until it's dissolved, which doesn't take long. Turn off the stove. And there you have the strawberry glaze. And we're going to set this back to cool, and we're going to work on the pie crust. So we've made the strawberry glaze, and we've kept it on the stove to cool, and now we're going to make the pie crust. The pie crust has to be cooked and cooled. And homemade pie crust is delicious, I will give you that. But for time's sake, I'm going to use pie crust sticks. And I will admit I use these quite frequently because I'm lazy and I don't want to make homemade pie crust. I take my pie pans and I will spray them with ham to speed up things. And like I said, I'm doubling the pie recipe. So we're going to use 2 pie crust sticks. And I will stretch it out into the pan. And I always make it larger than the edge of it. And back when I went to school, 9th through 12th grade, I took home economics. And of course, we always had to cook in home economics. And one of my favorite things that I learned from my teacher was fluting the pie. And so the pie crust is larger than the pie pan, and you just pull it up with your finger and your thumb, and you bring it together to make a pretty little flute along the edges to make your pie pretty. So like I said, a homemade pie crust cannot be beat. I will admit to that, and my husband loves a homemade pie crust. But for time's sake, and which I do quite frequently, then I use the pie crust dips. I try to get as much air out of the pie as I can, and I'll also use a fork to poke it, because when you go to bake the pie crust, if you don't get the air out of it, it will bubble up and cause bubbles in your crust. So there's one pie. Now we're going to do the other pie. I love to cook for my family. I always want to make sure they're well fed and happy. Pretty pie crust. I'd love to learn other ways to make the pie crust, and maybe some of you can share what you do to put the pretty edge on your pie crust. Little action to get out the air bubbles. And now we're gonna put it in a preheated 450 degree oven, and we're going to bake it from 10 to 12 minutes until the crust is done. And now we wait. And I'm going to wash the strawberries and slice them and get them ready for the next time when the crust's cooled. All right, we cooked the pie crust, we cooked the glaze, and now we're gonna finish it. And I add an extra little touch to my pies when I make it. And I have a package of cream cheese that I've softened in the mixer, and I add a cup of Cool Whip to the mixture, and a cup of powdered sugar. And we're going to put that in the pie crust before we put the strawberries. So I'm going to beat this until it's mixed together and fluffy. And I never start out on fast with anything like a dry ingredient, powdered sugar, or flour, because it'll spray out everywhere. Beat it for a few seconds. And now it's time to finish our pies. So I take this powdered sugar, Cool Whip, and cream cheese. You can see you just spread it around. I just think it just adds a little extra yumminess to your pie. And during the summertime, when the Colorado peaches come out, I'll take and I will go buy some Colorado peaches. They're really delicious. And I will slice them up, and I'll do the same thing making this pie with those, but I use a peach jello instead of the strawberry jello, and that's my husband's favorite, is the peach pie. So we're doing both pies. And this pie like I said, it's just a great springtime pie when those strawberries come out. I get that sugar mixture all up on the sides of the pie. And now I add the strawberries. And I've already washed and sliced, as you can tell, and I'll evenly divide them in the pies. Spread them all out. Isn't that pretty? Such a pretty pie. And now for the final touch. We add the strawberry glaze. It's just a sweet glaze. When I finish doing the glaze on top of the strawberries, I will put the pies in the refrigerator to chill until firm, probably a couple of hours. And then with my leftover Cool Whip, or if I get a can of whipped topping, as I slice the pie, I'll put a dollop of Cool Whip or whipped topping on top of the pie that I'm serving to my family or to my friends. Make sure you get all the strawberries covered up. And here you have strawberry pie, fresh out of the kitchen, and it'll be so great for dinner tonight. Enjoy.